Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Fresh Out the Podcast, the greatest podcast on Earth. I am the board game guru and game master extraordinaire, Jahananan.
Yes, you are. And I am the media and movie mastermind, the Funhouse, Drew Munhausen. And this is episode 132 of Fresh Out the Podcast. And Fresh Out the Podcast is going to the house today. The House of the Dragon.
Ooh. Well,
which
good.
We've kind of talked about here and there while watching the season, kind of live check-ins. I feel like week to week as we were watching it. I feel like most of our check-ins were pretty positive, but we really haven't talked about it in much detail for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah.
And so now's the time. The season's over. We got to see the hour and 10-minute season finale that aired on Sunday evening. We've had a few days to stew on it, so we can get into that here in a second. Before we do, John, I just jumped right into that. Is there anything you'd like to add? Anything you need to get off your chest as we enter into episode 132 of the pod?
I don't think so, man. I'm just excited to talk about House of the Dragon. I did change my studio space, so if it sounds different or anything, let me know. But yeah, I'm excited to do this.
You sound wonderful
to
me right here in my AirPods, just directly into my ears. It sounds wonderful.
Hell yeah. I have a melodic voice. Penetrates deep, Drew.
It sure, boy, penetration deep in my ears. Sure does. Here we go. House of the Dragon. I'm interested to get your thoughts, Jahan. I know you in particular have been really high on this season. I haven't dug too deep into like the online reaction of season 2 much. I've seen tweets here and there, with some jokes and cracks, of course, as is typical for any show that has a finale. Or any season that has a finale, but I'm curious to just kind of see. We can start with a general overview before we really dig into the finale. What'd you think of season 2 of House of the Dragon?
Overall, season 2 was good. Season 1, I remember blowing us all away. We didn't see it coming. We talked very highly of it in our retrospective at the end of the year, and it was just really good. This season continues that quality. The acting's top notch. They're not doing the time jumps like they were anymore, so it's a much more focused on the characters kind of story. There's a lot of development. They've covered a lot of ground still. I enjoy the character development. I enjoy the kingdom and the armies and the war developments. It's been a really interesting, sometimes very messed up conflict that they are participating in, and it just, they're on the edge of the cliff, man. There's no going back, really. They're already pretty much off, like jumping off the side. It's just, we're waiting to see where they land. So, yeah, season 2, solid.
Yeah, I'd say overall, I enjoyed watching season 2. I I think it had more highs than lows, but I would be lying if I said it didn't that it ended in a satisfying way for me
Oh,
personally.
certainly it did not end. The ending was not it. A lot of the online discourse and jokes and memes are in reference to it being an hour and a half trailer for season three.
Yeah, I
'Cause that's what it
saw I
was.
saw some I did see a tweet at one point that made me laugh that said like season 2 of House of the Dragon could have been an email. Like you know,
That's pretty good.
which I'm like, I get it. I get where it's coming from. There is a part of me, to your point, we had the time jumps in season one. Season one covered a lot of ground because it really had to establish these kind of two conflicting sides and how they were once together and how they became split and really setting up the politics for each side. I enjoyed that a lot in season one. And now in season two, it feels a lot more Game of Thrones in the way that Game of Thrones was the same way. In season one, everybody's together in King's Landing until things happen, and then people kind of end up all over the place, right? Like, you basically, in season one of Game of Thrones, you have King's Landing, and then stuff happening with Daenerys, and then Jon Snow at the Wall. And and then by season two and beyond, it gets even more spread out, where there's so many characters and they're all over the map, and you're constantly checking in with different characters. Some characters aren't even in certain episodes. I feel like House of the Dragon is getting more into that level, where it's like you've got Rhaenyra over here, and you've got Alicent in King's Landing here, and you've got Kristen Cole now on his march out here, and you've got Daemon doing his thing here at Harrenhal, and you've just kind of got people all over the place. And I think that some of those storylines have definitely been more interesting than others, which that's always the nature of these shows. But man, season one had 10 episodes, season two had 8 episodes. And the way that the eighth episode ended really feels like, okay, we got 2 more episodes, right? Like you're surely not going to end it like this, right? Especially considering that we're probably not getting season three of House of the Dragon until 2026. I
Yeah.
would imagine there's another Game of Thrones spinoff that I believe is set to be released next year. So I would imagine that it'll be a year. I think we're still going to get Game of Thrones content. They're really trying to gear up to get Game of Thrones content on a yearly basis between the different spinoffs. But House of the Dragon specifically, I don't think we're getting for another 2 years
Yeah,
at the
that
earliest.
sounds about right. Yeah, it's they really didn't tie anything up. Yeah, the episode a couple episodes ago, it really did seem like they were going to get somewhere before the end, and they didn't. They set up some really cool things, but I'm not. I don't know. It is going to be a long wait, and it kind of sucks that they did it like that. I was hoping for something. You know what I mean? Like what happened with Rhaenys and that battle with Vagar. Like that was crazy. That was like 3 episodes ago, and that episode was probably better than the finale. And it's
Yeah.
like, maybe you should have like rearranged some things a little bit. I don't know. Like I understand that they needed to lose her and like have the dragon deficit come into play before Rhaenyra was desperate enough to do what she did, but damn man, like that episode was worth ending on, and this one wasn't. Nothing happened.
Yeah, it's just like, in Game of Thrones past, I feel like the penultimate episode of a season always is like a big battle or has a big plot point. Of course, the big one of note to always point out is Ned Stark was beheaded in episode 9 of Game of Thrones, right? And like typically that penultimate episode, there's some big battle or some big moment.
Spoiler
And
alert.
yeah, I'm sorry, spoiler alert for a show over a decade old. Anyway, uh, watching this one, when I was watching episode 7, halfway through, I was kind of like, oh man, like this is not doing it for me. Like I thought there was going to be more this episode, but then the third act of that episode, so to speak, with the we can talk. Can we talk openly about what happens in the show?
Yeah, we'll open it up. Spoiler alert: we're going to talk about the finale in non-veiled terms because we're kind of at the point where we can't tiptoe around it anymore. So yeah, House of the Dragon season 2 finale spoilers.
Yeah, and I guess really season spoilers because this is from the episode before. But
Okay.
where you have the bastard dragon riders, kind of coming in to see if anybody was compatible with the dragons, which turns into just like mass chaos. But you've got these two characters. I'm gonna butcher names. I know Ulf is one of them, and what's the Hugh is the other one. So you've got these two characters who claim dragons, and I was all about this. I was like, this is really cool. I
Yeah.
liked how it ended. You get Ulf flying over King's Landing, then flying back to Dragonstone, and Rhaenyra with her standing there at the front with all these dragons behind her. I was like, what a cool ending to that episode. I thought like that left me on a high.
That would have been a better finale. Honestly, that was finale worthy.
Yeah, I don't disagree. But it really seemed like it was at bat to essentially send these dragons to go attack King's Landing. Like that's what I'm expecting to happen in the finale. Like we're gonna get a big battle. We're gonna see something. There's gonna be some blood. There's gonna be some sacrifices. We're gonna see all hell break loose. And instead, we just kind of got more politicking and placing the characters to get them even better set up so that season 3 can be the battle that I thought was going to come in the finale. Am I analyzing that correctly?
It's correct by my ears, man. They teased something was definitely going to happen, and then it didn't happen, and it was exactly that. It was a tease. It was a big old tease. It's what Game of Thrones does. In the original series, they teased that the dragons were going to happen and White Walkers were going to happen, and they took forever to happen. So, we're back there. I do believe we have confirmation now that season 4 of House of the Dragon is going to be the last season. So we got 2 more seasons to look forward to. But yeah,
and that's fine to me. Like
that's fine to me too.
Considering where we are now, this definitely does not seem like a show that can go on as long as like what Game of Thrones did. So I'm glad that they have kind of an ending in sight. I think that's a smart idea for them, and as they keep up with shows and development, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. That's the next upcoming series.
Ooh,
I was looking for what that was going to be called, and it looks like the first season of the series comprised 6 episodes to be released in 2025. So we'll get that next year. Yeah. I don't know. Trying to kind of.
We could talk about kind of like what did you like? I guess how'd you feel? I've heard a lot of holes be poked in this thing, and there are definitely holes to poke. But I enjoyed. I like that the sea snake's granddaughter in the Erie region. I like that she found the dragon. I'm excited to see where that goes. I think it's cool that they have so many dragons now. I think Hugh's a jackass, and like anyone should have at least better manners than that. I don't know, man.
Oh, you mean Ulf?
Ulf. Oh, is that Ulf? Okay. Ulf's the dumb one.
Hugh's cool beardo guy.
He's cool. Yeah. I don't know. It's cool. And then I thought that the interactions between the sea snake and his bastard were pretty intense. Some good acting there. It was interesting. I don't know. There was some good stuff there. But yeah, it was just more character development. The other character that I actually have enjoyed his development, because I hated Christian Cole this season, but like at towards the end when he was talking to Alicent's brother about like, we're just dust under dragon feet. Like, we're marching to our deaths, and it doesn't matter. And, like, he was so bleak, and, like, he was like, I'm kind of, dying sounds pretty cool, actually.
It's kind of clear that witnessing the battle between...
Oh, yeah.
Aegon on his dragon and Aemond and, is it Rhaenys? What was her name? Rhaenys, thank you. That's going to happen a lot, so I apologize. But I think that battle really messed with his head, and witnessing the destruction that dragons can have, and how crazy it is. Because yeah, he definitely has seemed different ever since that happened. Um, here's a thing that's kind of like a like and dislike, right? We had this whole thing in the finale with Tywin Lannister, who's going to form the allegiance with the Triarchy,
Yeah.
and then has to do this like mud wrestling victory and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't necessarily dislike this. Like,
Yeah.
this is kind of fun and interesting. Why are we getting this in the finale? Like, why are we getting introduced to new characters in the finale? What are we doing here?
I didn't really think about it that way, but I agree. This would have been better served in the previous episode, and then maybe the thing with the dragons happened this episode. I don't know, man. Like, it is a weird order. It is weird to introduce and like have this lightheartedness at the end. I don't know. I enjoyed those parts as well. I thought that his character was cool. I liked the lady he was wrestling. She was interesting. And I always like seeing that part of the world and that culture. It's just so different and it's refreshing. It's very, I don't know, creatively done. I enjoyed it, but yes, I agree. It's weird in the finale.
Did you like Daemon having the vision where he foresees the future and sees the White Walker, and we see Daenerys Targaryen from the back, and essentially see him kind of being witness to the Song of Ice and Fire, story? Like,
I have mixed feelings about it. I think it's weird that, because like those kind of things typically aren't ever repeated. You know what I mean? Like when a vision is passed down and a prophecy set down, someone doesn't then have another vision of the prophecy kind of thing usually. But it does have some interesting points. I enjoyed the effect it had on Daemon, because I'm happy that he's finally been brought to heel and kind of like back on on team Black. I liked that a lot because I didn't like where he was going. I didn't like the conflict there. I wanted him to be with Rhaenyra, but it showed Daenerys, like you said. So in this context, it's kind of like they're saying, yes, she was the prince that was promised. It was her. Like the whole time, it really was her, and that's kind of cool and kind of character vindicating. I don't know. Makes me wonder if Jon was wrong for killing her. I don't know, man. It's very complicated.
A lot of the stuff with Daemon, like, it's very important for the story of the war that's coming and forging an army, and I appreciate that. I think when it was actually on screen, that was some of the stuff I was least interested in as the season went on, and the visions he was having from Sheila the She-Wolf. Shout out to people that have watched Glow on Netflix, because that's who that was.
Yeah, that is her. That's funny.
Yeah, so, like, however, I did like the progression of him kind of seeing like he's veering, gonna like essentially rebel against Rhaenyra, but by the end and what he's seen and what he's witnessed and kind of pledging to her in front of the army was a big moment for him, because he's not gonna do that, I think, if it's not genuine. Like, I think he has truly kind of seen the light here,
yes.
And it always is interesting how he and Rhaenyra seem like their relationship is best when they're almost at odds with each other in a strange way, compared to the beginning of the season. So I enjoyed that. Of course, Alicent and Rhaenyra. I think that both Olivia Cook and Emma Darcy are wonderful actors, and just any time that they have a scene together face to face, it's electric. When it happened early in the season where Rhaenyra snuck into King's Landing to have the conversation with Alicent, I loved all that. We got another scene here where Alicent snuck off to Dragonstone to have a conversation with Rhaenyra. I liked all of that, and essentially like offering Rhaenyra an option of like, hey, if you come here, you win, that's it, we'll surrender. And Rhaenyra's like, nah, still gotta take your son's head, sorry. And Alicent even kind of agreeing to that.
Yeah, no, that was a hardcore conversation, man. That was some real talk.
What do you think of the Aegon Larys partnership now? And
see, that's one I don't know about. I don't know what Laris's end game is with that. It seems like he's playing it like he has this kinship to him because he's also a cripple. And that's how he's playing it, but that can't be it. You know what I mean? Because Laris is a conniver. That cannot be his sole reason for these actions. I don't know what he's doing. I think it's really weird, but I guess we'll see. I'm not a big fan of it. I like that Aegon's sticking around a bit. I don't know. I was kind of looking forward to the confrontation between him and his brother, Aemond, and I don't know. I feel like they postponed that as well. Like, that could have been a cool ending, you know what I mean, to the season.
Poor Aegon, though, man. R.I.P. to Aegon's penis.
Yeah, sorry about your dick, bro. It burst like a sausage in the fire. Yeah, it's fucked up.
We briefly see Otto Hightower here.
Otto Hightower in a cage with no explanation was a little frustrating.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so that's where he's been. How, what has happened here? So I'm hoping, I really like Rhys Ifans and I like his portrayal as Otto Hightower, and Otto Hightower very absent for the majority of this season, I would say. Kind of present for the first couple until he was out. And I miss him, and so to get this tease was almost more frustrating than anything. I want to know what's happened. I want to know where he's at. So I guess we'll see that in season 3.
Yeah, and it was frustrating. I like, because they barely hinted at anything happening, and they've been like, oh, he's unreachable. Like, we haven't been able to, and it's like, okay, Otto's missing, like, with no explanation. And it's just, I don't know if I missed a scene where he got hijacked by bandits or something. I don't remember anything like that happening. It's just, it seems out of nowhere, and I don't like that kind of stuff. I like not out of nowhere stuff. I don't know. Give me a reason, like, it's weird.
Yeah.
But, hey, you can't like everything all the time, so all in all.
And again, like, not to have my cake and eat it too, but I feel like at least we know another season's coming.
Yeah.
I think if we had a year to wait for this, I'd be like a little bit more open to it. But the fact that we're basically, see ya in 2026, Otto Hightower, like, it'll be a while. So that's tough, but that being said, I think it's really easy to dunk on the finale, and I don't even disagree with some of the people saying like, yeah, it was a trailer for season 3. Like, you're not wrong. Like, I agree with that. Did I enjoy watching most of the season? Absolutely. Am I gonna watch the next season? Absolutely. I love being in in Westeros. I was gonna say the Game of Thrones universe. Let's say in Westeros, the stories they're telling. It really seems like they're putting the thought and production value into the show. So I can't even complain about, how it's made, but the highs of like episode 1 and the sun for a son and the blood and the cheese that we got at the end of that episode. And then episode 4, with the red dragon and the gold and the dragon fight we got at the end of that season, or at the end of that episode, pardon. I really, really enjoyed that. And so there were some really big highs, I feel like, in those first 4 episodes.
And the Dragon Cave disaster was awesome.
Yes, exactly. So, like, those were all great moments, but I feel like those great moments kind of tapered off at the end of the season, with the exception of the ending of episode 7, with the illegitimates, kind of facing the dragons. I enjoyed all of that. So... Yeah. On one hand, more. That's always what fans of shows are demanding, right? Like, we always want more. On the other hand, it's like, good for them for taking their time with the storytelling and really thinking it out, I guess. But I wish we could have maybe at least gotten a little bit of action in the finale or something to at least leave us feeling like, oh man, that was awesome when it ends up, instead of just going like, okay, see you in 2 years.
Yeah. Or like a character death or something. I don't know.
But,
yeah, I feel the same way. Season 2, not as good as season 1, but sets up for possibly a better season 3. So I liked it all in all. Definitely certified fresh. House of the Dragon's killing it still. It's just...
Yeah, definitely still
some
certified
notes,
fresh, right?
But no problem.
they know what they're working with here. It's not like
Yeah.
those latter seasons of Game of Thrones where they're just rushing through, telling the story moment after moment after moment because they're rushing through the books. Like, we all complained about that, so I feel kind of awkward complaining like, well, this one was moving too slow and they didn't give us enough. Like, I guess you just got to find the balance. But I think I'd rather have this pacing than like those last couple
The rush
seasons of
pacing,
Game of
yeah.
Thrones in a
I
way.
agree. They're taking their time. They're showing us everything they need to show us, and I feel like it will pay off. And if it doesn't, then we have a problem. But for now, they're in good standing. Everything's good. House of the Dragon was great.
And I am, this goes without saying, but I'm with you, and I am saying that this is absolutely fresh, without
Absolutely
question.
fresh.
Despite complaints that are valid, still fresh.
1000%.
Shout out to Blake, who listens to the show sometimes, also known as the Grimace. He texted me after the finale and he said, "Hey, so the finale of House of the Dragon was bullshit, right?" And and again, I'm saying like, I totally get that, and I don't even disagree with it. But
Thomas sent me something too about like it being a trailer. So
yeah.
Pretty funny.
All right, well, that was our fresh news. We wanted to do the kind of dive into season 2 of House of the Dragon, but that will also take up our fresh TV of the week because I don't think you and I had anything else to add as far as TV goes, right? We're just watching House of the Dragon.
Just House of the Dragon, baby.
Did you ever finish your rewatch of season 1? I know that you were kind of half, like a good chunk of the way through it around when season 2
we got
started.
close. We never finished it though. No.
Fair
I
enough.
actually
guess
kind of
once
want to
we were
start.
really
I've been seeing a lot of clips of Game of Thrones lately on like TikTok. I don't know why, but it's kind of making me want to watch that again. So,
Have you rewatched Game of Thrones, or have you only seen it the once?
I've rewatched it already a whole time since it came out. I kind of want to do it again.
Fair enough. Well, moving on to some fresh movies of the week, aka this is basically Drew's Corner this week because I don't think you have any movies to share, right?
No, sir.
I have seen a couple of new releases in theaters. I went and saw M. Night Shyamalan's new film, Trap. This is starring Josh Hartnett. If you've seen the trailer, it has honestly one of the best trailers I think I've seen this year that sets up Josh Hartnett's character. He's a dad. He's taking his daughter to this big concert of a music superstar she's super excited to see called Lady Raven in the movie, and we see that Josh Hartnett's character in the trailer asks a worker that why does there seem to be increased police presence at this venue? There's police all outside. It looks like SWAT teams, maybe even the FBI. Like, what's going on? And the vendor at the stadium tells him, "Oh, they're suspecting that this serial killer known as the Butcher is supposed to be here. This whole concert's a trap to catch the Butcher."
Oh boy.
And Josh Hartnett says, "Oh." And then cut to Josh Hartnett going into the bathroom, looking at his phone, and he's got somebody tied up in his basement that he's looking at through his phone, and it's clear that he is the serial killer that they're after. And that's the trailer. And when this trailer came out, I was like, man, that's an awesome trailer. Did they show us too much? Like, are they spoiling the movie in this trailer? Now, having seen the movie, I can confidently say most of that stuff that happens in the trailer is like all set up in the first 20 minutes of the movie. So it's not like that's the twist and the twist is shown in the trailer. This movie is really fun. I like, this is like peak M. Night return to form kind of stuff. M. Night Shyamalan is the butt of a lot of jokes, right? Like, everybody loves The Sixth Sense and Unbreakable and Signs, and The Village is where it starts to get a little bit more divisive, and then it was kind of downhill from there.
Like The Village.
I like The Village too. I was not a huge fan when I saw it in theaters, but I've revisited it and I'm higher on it now. Less so on Lady in the Water and The Happening and The Last Airbender and After Earth and some of those. Like,
oh boy,
some of those are really
Wait,
really
After
rough
Earth
go.
with Will Smith?
That's right.
Oh my god, he did that?
Yeah, that's an M. Night movie.
That movie's
man.
a huge piece of shit.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was a rough go there for a while, and then M Night kind of took a breather and came back with The Visit. I don't know if you ever saw The Visit. It's about some kids that go to visit their grandparents, and things are not right. And that movie is actually, it kind of rips. And really, since then, it's like that's when we got Split and Glass, and then we've now had Old
Split
and
was
Knock at
good.
the Cabin, and some of these movies. He's not trying to do like After Earth and Last Airbender anymore. He's just like, okay, I'm M Night Shyamalan. I basically make extended and interesting episodes of The Twilight Zone, but as like big budget studio movies.
And that's what I want from him. Yeah.
Yeah, same. Like I'm here for it, and usually they're sold on the premise, and like the beach that makes you old. Cool. Here, take the money for my ticket. Like I'm in. You know, again, like split personalities with James McAvoy. Cool. I'm in. Knock at the Cabin is actually it's not an original M Night Shyamalan story. It's based off of a book, but still like Dave Bautista warning you about the apocalypse. You know, I'm in for that. Like, and again with Trap, the premise and the trailer sold me on it, and I just had a great time at the movies. I think that his Josh Hartnett's casting is great because he plays this like aw shucks dad, like telling bad dad jokes, just total like dad mode the whole time. But it seems really over the top, and at first you're like, this is a bad performance, like this is bad acting because he's so over the top. But then when he slips into his more maniacal or evil serial killer side, he's incredible, and you're like, oh, this is all by design, this is incredible.
Yeah.
This movie, if you try to pick apart the logic of it, you don't like there are so many holes in this. There are so many things that don't make sense when you really think about it. But this is a just don't think about it. Watch it like a Hitchcockian, Twilight Zone episode, and just it go along for the ride. And I think you'll have a lot of fun. So this is one of the better Shyamalan movies I think that I've seen in a while, and I really enjoyed it. It's not like a 5 out of 5 movie by any means, but like, M Night Shyamalan's
Doesn't
putting
have to
out
be.
like 7s and 8s, and some of these movies these days, and that's fine too. We're probably never going to reach like Signs of the Sixth Sense again from him, right? Like this is what we're getting from him, and this is all good.
I think asking for him to match Signs and The Sixth Sense again is asking too much.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and another interesting thing that's happening is like the Shyamalan family taking over Hollywood. In this movie, the music superstar that they're seeing, Lady Raven, is played by Salika Shyamalan, which is his daughter. And so that's worth noting. And then his other daughter just directed a movie that just came out. The Watchers was a horror movie that came out
I wanted
like
to see
a few
that.
weeks ago. And that one's directed by Ishana Night Shyamalan. And so I actually haven't seen it. Honestly, it didn't get very good reviews. I will probably check it out at some point when it's widely available.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Knight's daughter just directed a movie that came out in June. You got his other daughter, playing a pretty significant role in Trap. And of course, M. Night making his cameo as he always does in all of his movies. He's you can't miss him in this one. But Trap, man, I highly recommend it. If you are just looking for something to do one day, you're bored and you need to burn 2 hours, go catch Trap while it's in theaters. I don't think you'll regret the ticket price. Again, you can pick it apart so easy, but it's a fun time, and that's all it's trying to be.
This is one that immediately looked interesting to me, so I do want to see this for sure.
Yeah. So that's Trap, definitely certified fresh. And then I went to an early screening of a movie that actually comes out in theaters this weekend. And it's called It Ends With Us, and it stars Blake Lively, and it's based off of a novel by Colleen Hoover, and it's a novel that's sold really well, and it's been really popular on Book Talk and book club. This is a book club, like a ladies' book club must read, I'd say, like very popular. And when I went to the screening, it was an early screening where they had, they invited press to it, but they also invited essentially those people. Like they targeted book clubs and blogs and things like that for people to go. So I'm in a theater with, I'd say, 90% women who have all read the book and are all big fans of Blake Lively, and like they were really excited for this movie. And so I think that kind of like I for sure stuck out like a sore thumb. Like I'm a white male by myself seeing this movie, and like I have not read the book. I'm going into this blind. I just knew that it dealt with themes of abuse, which I thought was also interesting. It's like you have all these women that are excited to see this movie that really has some really dark topics that it deals with, but this is the book that they're looking to see adapted, and they're excited for it, and I can't fault them for that. And all that being said, like it's pretty good. I was surprised. It's definitely a movie based off a paperback, right? Like it's overlong, it's a little bit melodramatic, like it's kind of predictable, but Blake Lively, who like I don't really have feelings about either way. Like I'm trying to think what all I've even seen her in. I know that she was, I think the last theatrical release I saw her in was a movie called A Simple Favor with her and Anna Kendrick in it. I saw The Shallows, which was a shark movie where she's like stuck on a rock and there's a shark. Obviously she's in Green Lantern, which is where she met Ryan Reynolds. But I really like The Town.
Is that where even when he loses, he wins, dude? Wow.
I know, man. And so I don't know. I don't have strong feelings of Blake Lively regardless. I didn't watch Gossip Girl. But I thought she was really good in this, and I think the movie really wouldn't have worked without her performance. She's like playing somebody who's had a super traumatic childhood, who's like going through it in this relationship, and the premise of the movie. Girl? Yeah, I believe she's the lead of Gossip Girl.
Leighton was in Gossip Girl, right?
In the recent one, she was in the original back in 2007.
I knew they didn't line up, but I was like, that's the thing that Leighton was in.
Yeah, he was. It Ends With Us is about Blake Lively plays a woman. She meets this guy. He's a neurosurgeon. You can immediately tell this guy is like aggro and kind of dark, but he's also charming. They have a relationship. They get married. She has a traumatic childhood because her father used to abuse her mother, and then she finds herself basically in an abusive marriage. I won't say much more beyond that. And like, how does she deal with it? And then also, like, while all of this is happening, her first love comes back into the picture, and he's got an interesting story, and they have an interesting history. Again, this is all like very romance paperback novel-y stuff, right? That I'm saying. And so I went into the movie expecting all that. I'm like, this is just going to be schlock, and it's better. It's better than that. So I'd actually say this was pretty solid. If this is up your alley, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. But as far as the audience that we're reaching on this podcast, I don't know if anybody is going to be, running out the door to go see this one. But if you're interested, it's pretty good. That's It Ends With Us, which comes out in theaters this weekend on August 9th.
Hey, man, a testament to your journalistic integrity.
Hey, I do what I can for the people. I do it for all of you.
Good for
You're all
you,
welcome.
Man. Hell yeah. That's it for fresh movies. No fresh TV this week, but we got lots of fresh games, and they seem to have a theme. You have one that doesn't. Maybe you should start with that.
Well, so I will start off with that. I've been wanting to, for a long time, play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is the second entry in the Final Fantasy VII Remake series. So Final Fantasy VII Remake, I think, came out in 2020. And then now in 2024, we have the next part of that. And it came out in late February, literally less than a week before my daughter was born. So naturally, I did not play this back when it came out. And I've had it sitting on my PS5 ready for me to play for a while. But before jumping into it, I wanted to play the DLC that came out for Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is called Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. If this all sounds confusing, it's because it is. Final Fantasy VII, a game that came out decades ago. Now they make Final Fantasy VII Remake for the PS4. Then they made Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, which was a DLC addition to the remake. And now we have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is the sequel to the remake. It's confusing, but the Intergrade DLC focused on Yuffie, who's a fan favorite character from the original Final Fantasy VII. It's like a 5-hour DLC at the end of Final Fantasy VII, and I played it before jumping into Rebirth, and so that's that. That's it. I spent time with Yuffie. I had a good time, but now I'm ready to jump into the next part of Cloud's adventure on my PS5.
Yeah,
that's it.
Never been the biggest Final Fantasy guy. Once they left Super Nintendo, I kind of lost interest, which I know is not necessarily the common opinion. But it just never really did it for me. I don't know why. Just never hit it. But hey, to each their own.
The Final Fantasy series for me is anytime that there's the new numbered entries, that's like a day one purchase for me every time. I loved 16 that came out last year, I believe, on the PS5. I had a great time with it. I've played 15.
Yeah.
I have not played the online Final Fantasy 14, the MMO, but I've played...
The MMO looks sick, and I do have some interest in playing it. The newer entries, you're right, do look really cool, and I've seen people play them, and they look fun. I just haven't been grabbed by them. I might play one of them eventually.
The post Nintendo or Super Nintendo Final Fantasy, starting with 7, 7, 8, and 9, and then 10 on the PS2, and it had some spin-offs, were all like very strict turn-based RPGs. That's always what Final Fantasy kind of was.
Yeah.
Once they came out with 12, it started to divert a little bit more into like action role-play combat, and then 13 had kind of its own unique system that was a mesh of everything, and then 15 and 16 were like more straight up action games.
Yeah.
And they've kind of done that with the Final Fantasy VII Remake. It has all the qualities of the original turn-based RPG, but they've made it into a more action game, retelling the story that's like, I'd say almost on the Mount Rushmore of like fan favorite, like cult following video games. Final Fantasy VII's up there. People love this game. Love Sephiroth, love Cloud, love a lot of the characters from it. And I get it. I've played Final Fantasy VII multiple times all the way through. So yeah, like Final Fantasy VII Remake covers like the opening hours of the original Final Fantasy VII. And so Rebirth, I think, covers a much bigger chunk of the story of that original game. And I'm about to jump into it, man. This is going to be like 100-hour plus game, most likely. And
hell yeah.
I got to check off some other games off my backlog before jumping into this one, which I enjoyed. I talked about Alan Wake 2 a lot recently, and I'll talk about Suicide Squad a little bit more in a bit after you talk about the Arkham games. So yeah, actually, that being said, I'll pass it back off to you.
Yeah, so we've been playing Rocksteady games out the wazoo lately, apparently. I got the Batman Arkham Trilogy for like $4 on sale. You could probably still find it for that price, or you will soon again be able to find it. But yeah, so Return to Arkham Asylum, it's the remake of Arkham Asylum. I beat it again, so it was a lot of fun all the way through, had a lot of fun. The story's great, the characters are great. I like the twists on all of the classic characters. It's always cool seeing Harley and stuff. I always loved her from the cartoon, and it's just she's a good character. Joker's fantastic as always. And you get to see all your favorites. You get to see Scarecrow. The Scarecrow bits are great. Killer Croc, all that stuff, man. It's a lot of fun.
Do you go hunting for Riddler trophies as I did, or do you just kind of get them as you've come across them?
I do, and I did, and I have. But this playthrough, I did mostly what I came across. I did some searching, but because it's my second playthrough, I just didn't bother as much. That being said, I never beaten Return to Arkham City. Like, I played it a little bit, and I stopped playing it. I'm playing it again. after I beat
It's the
Arkham.
Hugo Strange one.
It's a Hugo Strange one. It takes place on Arkham City, which is pretty much Arkham Asylum and Blackgate Prison are all dumped out into like an abandoned borough in Gotham City. They're segregated from the rest of the city. They have walls and stuff, but they have free reign in this essentially like a ghetto. Like it's pretty messed up.
Keep talking about it. I'm gonna step away for a sec to grab something that's relevant to this, but keep talking about
absolutely,
it.
yeah.
I hear you.
The I don't know. It has a very interesting story. It opens up with Bruce Wayne coming to shut down Arkham City and being like, "Hey, we need to close this place. It's crazy. Like, how can this be allowed to happen? How can this continue? It's like." Against the Geneva Convention. It's pretty messed up what's going on in there. It's interesting once you get in there. Hugo Strange is using this as his personal battleground, and he is or experiment ground. He's putting political prisoners in there. He's abusing his authority. He's making people disappear inside of Arkham City. And it's wild. You're like saving first responders that are in there trying to help the prisoners, because obviously they need medical help and stuff. You're in there trying to save some of the lesser evil of the prisoners. Like you save Catwoman. And in this version, you have all the DLC and everything. So you actually play as Catwoman. Those sequences are not terrible. Pretty fun. You get to see the story from a different point of view. And she has some pretty cool things she can do. But all in all, it's a lot of fun. It's a huge open world city with lots of different side quests, from trying to play phone tag with Zaz to tracking down the Joker to doing the virtual reality trainings and beating up squads of people and just all kinds of stuff, man. There's a lot to do. The Riddler Trophy game in this is nuts. It's like a lot harder. So I appreciate that because I do like a challenge. I think Arkham City is
an open world, so you have a lot more places to go and things to check. When I stepped away for a minute, it's because over a decade ago, I went through this phase where when there were games that were coming out that I was highly anticipating, such as Batman Arkham City, which came out in, I think, 2011, I would buy the limited edition hardcover strategy guides for these games that would come out. I don't know if you ever bought any of these.
I've had
I
strategy
still have
guides.
it. I just went and got it off my shelf. So I don't know if this will show up, and this is not good audio, but this is oh man, my blur's on. This is the limited edition one that they had. I'm gonna see if I can I'm gonna turn the blur off. There we go. Y'all can see this bedroom I'm in. Oh, come on.
Well, except for the people listening.
This is great.
Oh, there you go.
For the people listening. So here it is, right? It's this super cool hardcover book. And to your point, all these characters that you're talking about, the art in it's really cool. It has character profiles. So even if I show this up, there you can see Harley Quinn and the Joker, and you can see all the characters are in the book. I mean, it's a typical strategy guide. It's just in really nice quality because it's got this nice hardcover. I really honestly bought this more for the artwork and things in it. And there's comics in the back. It has all the Riddler trophies. I mean, it has everything that you'd expect for there to be in a strategy guide, but just super cool art and stuff because I was really anticipating this game. And sometimes I'd like to buy these because they actually are strategy guides that look good on a shelf and not Brady Games crap. You know?
No, that's a really cool collector's piece for sure. Yeah, no, man, I can appreciate a good
remember
collector's
video
item.
game strategy guides?
I do.
Remember that? That's not a thing anymore. They don't make them.
Why would you? It's all online, exactly. But they do still make the custom, the hardcover art books. I get those from time to time. I'm actually trying to think about what to fill this new shelf up with for people to see in my background. So we'll find out. But yeah, no, the whole time I've been collecting Riddler trophies. I'm man, Drew must love this game because you're all about collecting.
I got all the Riddler trophies in all 3 Arkham games. I got every Riddler trophy.
I haven't beaten this one before, and I've never played Arkham Knight. So I'm excited for those. All 3 came in the bundle. I'm playing them.
Arkham Knight's really fun.
I'm playing them, I'm beating them, and I'm going to the next one.
Some people like to rag on Arkham Knight, but it's really fun. That being said, sometimes the Riddler trophies get a little bit frustrating in those bigger open world games.
Yeah.
Honestly, they're most fun to collect in the original game.
The original game, they were very fun, and I actually agree with that so far in my assessment. Yeah, the Riddler stuff in the first one, it feels more organic. It feels more like part of the world, and in Arkham City, it feels more like it's there because it was in the first one. I like stuff more like the teaming up with Bane to destroy Titan tanks and stuff like that. Like, that shit's really cool. I feel like Arkham City might be the best Batman game.
I think it's the best of the, yeah. Yes, I would agree.
It might be it might be. There's a lot of Batman games that have been made. I've been playing them since Super Nintendo. This one, probably the best one. Arkham Asylum gives it a run for its money because that game is so iconic, but I'm really enjoying Return to Arkham City. And this is what Rocksteady did. This is how they made their name, I feel, or at least in the Batman world or superhero world, they proved that they can do this kind of thing really well. And then they had a major flop recently, so we'll see how that goes. But I guess you're going to talk about that one. So, yeah.
Yeah, don't forget the Gotham Knights spin-off that like tried to be in this world, that did the weird, like, I'll say this, Suicide
the multiplayer
Squad Killed
one?
the Justice League did, yeah, the multiplayer one.
Bro, that
Suicide
game...
Squad Killed the Justice League did Gotham Knights, what Gotham Knights was trying to do better. But
Gotham Knights could have been amazing, and it was diarrhea. That game was terrible. That's one of the games I got my money back.
Yeah, I remember you and Gary saying that and giving me warnings, and I was like, I still kind of want to try it because I just like the Arkham games so much. And I think I picked it up and played it one day for like 2 or 3 hours and then never went back to it. So that says a lot about that game. And says a lot that, by comparison, Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League is the most recent Rocksteady released video game. It's their follow-up to Arkham Knight. And, you know, it was rumored for a long time they were doing a Suicide Squad game. And then it finally was released, and it was clear they were doing all the live service stuff that people didn't want. And I don't think that was Rocksteady's choice. I think that came from higher up to try to make a profit, and it failed, and people rebelled against this game. It didn't do that well in reviews. I still like Rocksteady and want to support, and thought it looked like, graphics wise, looked good, even though there's all like the purple villains and all the stuff that people are making fun of it for. That being said, I brought this up on the show last week. I said I was really enjoying it. I was pretty positive on it, but I said when I finish it, I'll see where we're at. And I did complete the campaign. And I stick with what I said. I had a great time in the campaign. As soon as I finished the campaign and I got to like the live service stuff where it's the open world grind, I had no interest in doing any of that. And I have deleted the game off my console. So I had a great time with the campaign. If you're interested in this game at all, at least to play the campaign, I think that you're justified in playing it for that. It was really fun, and I was able to play enough King Shark. I got him to max level, and like I think max level's 30, and I got him to max level, and I think all 3 of the other characters are at like 12 or 13. So nice. That goes to show you how much more I preferred playing as King Shark. But yeah, I mean, it's as advertised. You're the Suicide Squad. Your goal is to kill the Justice League. You get some cool boss battles against like the Flash and Green Lantern and Superman. It's not spoiler to say that. It's literally in the title. And there's like some actually really long and well done cutscenes. So like they do not cut any corners as far as the story of this game. I think what they're doing here is interesting. It's just sometimes in between those story missions, you're doing the typical kind of live service grindy missions, you know?
Yeah.
Go here and destroy these machines. Go here and kill these enemies. Go here and rescue these people and take them to this van. Go here and do those things again. Like, and they try to differentiate it with putting basically different caveats on the missions, like go here and do this mission, you know, kill all these guys, but they're immune to everything except for grenades. So like you can only use grenade attacks to kill them, and you know, or they only take damage if it's a critical hit, or they all, you know, there's always like things like that, which some of them are fine and some of them aren't fun at all. So that's why when it came to that's all you can do, post the final boss, I'm like, nah, I'm not interested in that. So
Yeah, that live service gameplay stuff, it's just filler, and it just drags things out, and it's pointless. Like, make quality content or make nothing. Like, I don't want this garbage.
if it was like when the game first came out and all my friends had the game and I had a squad of 3 people to play it with, like you could probably find some fun to be had doing those missions and at least just like hanging with your friends online and playing it. But like I don't have that right now for this game. I don't think many people have that for this game because the player count's like pretty low at this point. There's actually just a story on IGN today that the amount of money that this game lost for WB was like pretty significant in the double digit percentage wise. So it's like,
Damn.
it's it's really hurting them. This game's like a pretty big bomb financially, but that's kind of on them. Like if they had made an Arkham style Suicide Squad game that was narrative based, I think this game would have reviewed well and sold really well.
I agree.
Making this into a live service game turned a lot of people away and gave it a reputation that people just didn't even want to give it a shot.
No, I agree with that assessment completely. Like, yeah, you got to give us. We need the story, man. We need the game to be fun. I don't know. It's insulting to the audience to be like, they don't need quality storylines and stuff. We just need to throw repeatable missions at. I don't know. That's dumb. That's not what gamers want. Gamers are discerning. Like we know what we like, and it's hard to pass shit off to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can get away with hawking a lot of crap to a lot of customer bases, but to gamers, because we really get into the product and we really are experiencing it very deeply. So how you can't pass crap off, and that's just something that money people don't understand.
And there's been a lot of talk, and this is getting into the weeds with like the game industry recently, but it's just like, if it's not a big budget AAA game that costs a lot of money, then it's like a super small independent game. And the kind of mid-tier games that used to fill the market have really gone out the window. Like that market, that business doesn't really exist anymore. And I think there are studios kind of trying to bring it back. But basically, these games are so expensive that if they don't work, if the game fails, it's like enough to shutter the whole studio. Like we're seeing tons of layoffs in the video game industry and tons of studio closures. And it's like, if your game's not a huge success, then your studio's done because these games are so expensive. And I know that the video game market is like one of the biggest entertainment markets there is right now, right? Like video games are booming compared to the box office and movies and things. Like video games are super profitable, but they're just super expensive to make. And NCAA college football and Madden are always going to make tons of money, and Call of Duty, and whenever there's a new Grand Theft Auto. But like if a Suicide Squad game doesn't work out, like it's scary times for Rocksteady, even having done the Arkham games, which are beloved.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a weird time. But hey, it's not all gloom and doom. There's a lot of good stuff on the horizon, too. A lot of good games coming out. I'm excited for quite a few of them. There's a new Monster Hunter game coming out that looks like fire. Remake of Dead Rising that I'm really excited for. A lot of stuff coming out. And then you have these hot, fresh games that no one expects, like Alan Wake 2. Coming out, Dungeons of Hinterberg, just, I feel like
even Baldur's Gate 3.
Baldur's Gate 3.
People were excited for that, but nobody knew it was going to be the behemoth that it ended up.
Even I, who has always professed that Baldur's Gate 2 is one of my all-time favorite video games, didn't see that coming. Like, I didn't know that it was going to be what it was, and yeah, man, there's still good things to be had. It's not all gloom and doom, but yes, it is a scary time to be a game developer. I think it's just the money people getting in the way, man. I think it's just you need to let the artists do the art, and you need to pay their bills, and stop adding loot boxes to everything. But it is what it is, and yeah, that's fresh games. What about fresh picks this week? What wet your whistle this week?
Man, I'm going with Trap, the new M. Night Shyamalan film. I just had such a good time with this, and it cannot be denied. So please, if you see this movie, at me. I'm down to talk about it. Really enjoyed it.
I don't know why that reminded me, but I have a little bit of a tangent here. I'm sick of all these collectible damn popcorn buckets. I'm so sick of it. I just saw a whole new set for Beetlejuice and then for Alien Romulus, like, dropping out. I'm like, really? Like, they must be making a fortune on it, but I'm just sick of it. I just wanted to mention it right there. But hey, I kind of want the Alien one, though.
No, I'm with you. Like, obviously, this all started with Dune Part 2,
Yeah.
and that wasn't even by design. Like, that was all kind of an accident, and the way it happened was very funny, and I appreciate it. It's kind of like Barbenheimer. Like, Barbenheimer was kind of a phenomenon with those two movies coming out the same weekend, and feel like people are trying to replicate it or do that again, and it's just not going to work. That was such a unique thing.
You can't force what happened with that to happen again. It's not possible.
Like, I always thought that from the beginning, the Deadpool and Wolverine, like, Ryan Reynolds tweeting, yeah, we're going to have a popcorn bucket too, and trying to make it a thing. Like, I found that whole gag to be grating from the get-go, and never found it to be that funny. Maybe I'm just a Debbie Downer, but yeah, now others trying to do the collectible part.
Everyone's doing it, man. It's too much.
I think they've always kind of been a thing, but now they all get publicized because of the Dune one.
Maybe. Yeah. But yeah, that's my old man tangent. My fresh pick of the week is House of the Dragon. Just the whole season 2 was great. I loved it. Gave me something to look forward to every week, and yeah, very good. So that was it. We did the podcast. Hey Drew, we have a podcast, and we're cool. Hey everyone, thanks for listening to Fresh Out the Podcast. I have been the board game guru, game master extraordinaire Jahanan, and if you haven't gotten enough of me talking and being an asshole, go check out Fresh Out the Box. It is me and Gary's tabletop role playing game channel, in which we play all types of games. Right now we're playing Fantasy Age on Thursdays. That's coming to an end soon, and then we got Fallout on every other Friday. So come check it out.
And I am the professional media and movie mastermind, the Funhouse, Drew Munhausen. And you can find me at Drew Munhausen on the social medias. And this has been episode 132 of Fresh Out the Podcast.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Stay fresh.